We have a light situation that wasn't working. So that's why we have these lamps up here. But what a cool thing it turned into now that we have these lights. So if you don't mind standing with us, we have a couple of new things for you today towards the end. I won't pretend that we can control the night or what kind of road we're on or where we can see the light. But right now I'm talking to you. I'm looking into your eyes. Right now I'm trying to show you that we're gonna be alright. Oh, I don't know what's around the bend. Oh, I know is that my love, it knows no end. All these pieces, they fall in line because I'm forever on your side. Take my hand when you can't see the light, cause I'm forever on your side. I will carry you every time, cause I'm forever on your side. They'll beat you up, but don't let them keep you down. You're always tough enough, and I'll always be around. Oh, I don't know what's around the bend. Oh, I know is that my love, it knows no end. All these pieces, they fall in line because I'm forever on your side. Take my hand when you can't see the light, cause I'm forever on your side. I will carry you every time, cause I'm forever on your side. I'm forever on your side. Oh, I can't promise that the day will never come when the ground beneath us fall out and you go nowhere to run. But you won't be alone when the water starts to rise up. No, you won't be alone, my darling, when the rains come. Oh, I don't know what's around the bend. I know is that my love, it knows no end. All these pieces, they fall in line because I'm forever on your side. Take my hand when you can't see the light, cause I'm forever on your side. I will carry you every time, cause I'm forever on your side. I'm forever on your side. I'm forever on your side. boldly I come into his eyes with nothing to breathe but all of my heart. How could this be? The way he looks in my eyes, all broken and crimson sin, he sees only white. I can't do anything to gain what he's done. He just loves me 'cause he loves me, 'cause he loves me, just because he does. Tired and afraid, forgotten was paid, so I hide in my shame like an orphan in chains. I ran from my promise, but it's never enough, 'cause my walls and my mountains always ran out of luck. And I can't do anything to deserve what he's done. Oh, he just loves me 'cause he loves me, 'cause he loves me, just because he does. I'm his beloved, I am his friend. His love has no limit, from beginning to end. No angel will ever separate me from his goodness and his wonderful grace. So let me remind you of all that he's done. He just loves you 'cause he loves you, 'cause he loves you, just because he does. You are his favorite, you are his friend. No weapon against you ever stands a chance. Not heaven or hell, no darkness or light will ever deny you of his wonderful smile. So I won't be silent, it's too good to be true. He just loves you 'cause he loves you, 'cause he loves you, 'cause he loves you. So I won't be silent, it's too good to be true. He just loves you 'cause he loves you, 'cause he loves you, 'cause he loves you. Cool, thank you. Oh my God. Oh. coming out from the darkness, turning back to you, to a love that is stronger. He calls me from within. Now I rest in your goodness. I will trust your hand. I will cling to your promise to make me new again. Don't stop. Let your love, let your heart change me. No more love, no more. Don't stop. You are the one I want. I can see how you're moving. You heal my heart of stone. I can see how you walk with me, and I never alone. Don't stop. Let your love, let your heart change me. No more love, no more. Don't stop. You are the one I want. Father, move us, Spirit, lead us to a new place, to a new day. Father, move us, Spirit, lead us to a new place, to a new day. Father, move us, Spirit, lead us to a new place, to a new day. Father, move us, Spirit, lead us to a new place, to a new day. Father, move us, Spirit, lead us to a new place, to a new day. Father, move us, Spirit, lead us to a new place, to a new day. Don't stop. Let your love, let your heart change me. Oh my heart, don't stop. You are the one I want. Don't stop. Let your love, your heart change me. And all my love, my heart. sing that again. Don't stop. Don't stop. Let your love, let your heart change me. All my love and all my heart. Don't stop. You are the one I want. One more time. Don't stop. Let your love, let your heart change me. All my love and all my heart. Don't stop. You are the one I want. Thank you.
Good morning. How is everybody? I'm Shannon. This is Bo. I think you've probably seen her around more than you've seen me. But we're really excited to welcome you to Different Church today. We just want to tell you about some cool things that Different Church is doing, our groups, ways to donate. But first I want to introduce a little bit about, come here, love. A little bit about our online ministry. So I found Different Church through the online ministry. Something I think that's really cool is my husband is deployed right now, and he gets to watch it at the same time that I get to watch it. So we get to have this Sunday together, even though we're separate, which I think is super cool about Different Church and the ability to kind of share that time together still, even while being physically apart. So if you want to learn about some of these really cool things that Different Church does, you can go to diff.church, and it has a whole bunch of information on there. You can also donate through diff.church. And you can set up reoccurring donations, which is what me and my husband do. It just makes it easier so we don't even have to think about it. Oh, my mask has fallen. Sorry about that. At the very bottom of diff.church, there's information about groups. So groups are a really cool way to get to know other people within the church. I personally go to the Tampa group on Fridays with Isaac, which is fantastic. I highly recommend that you go. You get to see Bo out of vest, which means she gets to run around and be a normal dog, which is great. But we also have a virtual version of groups on Mondays and a St. Pete version and a St. Pete location on Wednesdays. Jared, did I get everything? Okay, awesome. So welcome to Different. And thank you so much for letting me stumble through this while Bo sniffs around. So.
I think Bo should deliver the sermon. Be way better than me. Good morning. So it's cold today, which I'm for. I was just not prepared. I thought we were at the end of cold weather till like January next year. And I was not prepared to walk outside and be like, oh no. And it's gloomy and it's perfect because guess what? It's still Lent. And we're continuing that 40-day period before Easter where Lent is the space that the church dedicates every year to think about hard things in life. And today we get to talk about my favorite book in the Bible, Ecclesiastes. Now, have you ever heard anyone say that Ecclesiastes is their favorite book in the Bible? No. If faith in God makes zero sense to you, and your reasons that you used to have for trusting God seem to have fallen off a cliff, you have a friend in the Bible, the book of Ecclesiastes. Okay, so Ecclesiastes 1:13-15 says, "It is an unhappy business God has given to human beings to be busy with. I saw all the deeds that are done under the sun, and see, all is meaningless, like chasing after the wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted." Yay. So these are the words of the main speaker in the book, the one called Kohelet. Now, Kohelet is typically translated as like teacher or preacher, although I think teacher kind of hardly does justice to his very alarming point of view. We're just going to call him Kohelet. Verse 1 of Ecclesiastes says that these words are written by the son of David, the king in Jerusalem. So tradition holds it was written by Solomon. That's highly unlikely because it seems to be written much later than Solomon would have listed. lived. And don't, just ignore my stumbling over my words, okay? Because everything is meaningless and it doesn't matter. So Solomon, very likely it's like somebody writing in the voice of Solomon, because Solomon had all the wealth. He was the richest king in Israel. He had all the prestige. He had all the power. And so someone's writing in Solomon's voice. But whoever wrote Ecclesiastes, we're just going to call them Kohelet, just like the Bible does. That person is in major faith crisis mode. Okay, so let me distill. There's 12 chapters in Ecclesiastes, and I'm going to distill it into one sentence for you. This is the theme. Not only can God not be trusted, but life plays out as one cruel joke after another, and then you die. God can't be counted on. Life is a cruel joke. You follow that up by dying. And that's not even the hardest part. It's God's fault that it's this way. So now you can see why maybe most people do not say Ecclesiastes is their favorite book. It's pretty lovely. Basically, he's saying our lives down here under the sun, you hear this many, many times in the book, under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. All of our activities under the sun. Our lives down here are full of unhappy business. Our day-to-day deeds get us nowhere, just like chasing the wind. And he's accusing God of actually setting up the world like this. And what's worse, we cannot do anything about it. The way the world is set up is crooked, and it can't be made straight. The world is lacking, and how much it lacks can't even be counted. It's so lacking that you can't even measure. So for Kohelet, all signs to him indicate that God has orchestrated this absurd existence for humans, and it's futile, just like the endless cycles of nature. And these are some examples he gives. Just like the sun, it rises and it sets every day in, day out, endlessly. No progress is made. The wind blows this way and that, just around and around. Never-ending, meaningless, tedious cycle. The streams never stop flowing into the sea, but the sea is never full. It's so much effort, makes no difference. And just like nature, humans run around in circles, working hard day in and day out, and ultimately have nothing to show for it, because in the end, we all die. Dying is the ultimate offense. So death neutralizes all of our efforts. We could spend our entire lives accomplishing great things, making truckloads of money, I hope. I haven't made a truckload of money, but maybe someday, right? We own property, we gather wealth, we accumulate things, we have relationships, and we can't take it with us. No matter what we've accomplished, we all die. And then we're forgotten, as if we never existed. Just like we have forgotten everyone who has lived and died before us. Chapter 1, verse 11 says, "The people of long ago are not remembered, nor will there be any remembrance of people yet to come by those who come after them." Buzzkill, this guy. But he has a point, right? Think in just the last century, the last 100 years of human existence, the mass of people that have existed. And we don't know who 99.99999% of them are. Like even the people we do know, like, I don't know, Princess Diana or Michael Jackson or like Anthony Bourdain, like big names who have died. We don't think about them every day. If we do think about them, it's because something reminds us, and then they pass in and out of our minds just as quickly as we can keep scrolling. We go on living for all practical purposes as if these people never existed. Our descendants will not think of us, just like we don't think of our ancestors. I don't have any living grandparents, and I love them and I miss them, but I don't think of them every day. It's not an everyday thing that I think about my grandparents not being here. I don't even know the names of my great-great-grandparents. And I imagine the same is true for you, unless you've done one of those family trees or like your Ancestry.com history. And yet we're here because of them, but we don't think about them. It's just kind of depressing, right? We're so busy hyperventilating on the hamster wheel of life that we don't have time or space to keep the dead active in our minds. And we don't have time or space to ponder our own mortality, unless, of course, something happens and we have like an existential crisis and freak out for a minute, and then we're like, okay. And then we just keep going. Life is just one hurried distraction to find meaning, which is great, but then in the end, you're going to die anyways and be forgotten. And don't you dare try to tell Kohelet don't worry. All of this may be true, but after you die, we go to heaven. And then everything will be okay and all will make sense. And this is how he responds to this notion. Now remember, Kohelet doesn't have a traditional idea of heaven like Christians do because he existed a very long time ago. Jewish theology doesn't typically have a very delineated heaven-hell kind of theology. So we can't put that category on him. But just to say after death, everything will make sense and everything will be resolved, he rejects this notion entirely. He says in chapter 3, the fate of humans and the fate of animals is the same. As one dies, so dies the other. They all have the same breath, and humans have no advantage over the animals because everything is meaningless. All go to one place, all are from the dust, and from the dust they will return. Who knows whether the human spirit goes upward and the spirit of animals goes downward towards the earth? Kohelet looks life square in the eye and refuses to play the game that we all get involved in at some point, the religion game, where we just say, well, everything's going to be fine. Everything works out and God makes sense. And I think that that is why I love Ecclesiastes so much, because he's so honest. He's painfully, shockingly honest. Like if this guy came up and preached a sermon, you're like, thanks. I guess I'll go be depressed for the rest of the week. He's saying it how he feels about how the world is set up, and in his saying it, sometimes we can recognize that that's how we feel, at least sometimes. One of my favorite verses in the entire Bible is Ecclesiastes 1:18, which says, the greater my wisdom, the greater my grief. To increase knowledge only increases sorrow. Now, as a person who has studied theology for 10 plus years in an academic setting, this verse speaks to my soul. Oh yes, to increase my wisdom, bad idea. I don't need to keep studying. The more I know, the more I find I know nothing. And I think this comes with age as well. But like many of my classmates in my undergraduate degree, they graduated and they immediately went into the ministry. They were like associate pastors, kids pastors, youth pastors, music pastors. They just went straight there. I did not follow that path for a few reasons, one of which is there's not a lot of positions for women. And if there are, they're kids pastors, which is, I like kids, but that sounds like a nightmare to me. I am not equipped to handle a lock-in. No, please no, I cannot do that. And that's one reason. There weren't a lot of positions, but also I just felt like I didn't have a handle on it. I looked at the span of human emotion and I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that. So I just kept studying, continued my academic studies, and I started working at a church when I was 28. You would think I'd have been so much more prepared, right? No. In fact, I feel like I was less prepared. After the first really difficult conversation I had with someone who was just really struggling in life, I was like, dang, I should have gone into the ministry right after college when I still thought I knew everything. Because now I know how much I don't know. I've had a little life experience, and I can understand how little things matter. Now I know that I can listen and pray and give good advice and do my absolute best to present a good reading of scripture and have well-researched positions and connect with people and do all of that, and still I can't fix anyone's problems. I can't make people make better choices. I can't make people see the value of belonging to a faith community and investing in a faith community. I don't have the ability to do that. I remember talking to one of my professors one time, and I essentially was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this, study stuff. It's a lot. And he just looked at me quietly and with so much grace and was like, the Lord has called you to this pain. And that's all he said. Not I just want to encourage you, let me pray. No, the Lord has called you to this pain. And then just left. And I was like, okay, great, thank you. Well, I don't feel any better at all. And I think I'm drawn to the honesty. I'm drawn to Kohelet's cynical view of the universe. And beyond that, I'm drawn to the fact that these words are actually preserved in our Bible, in our sacred text, for thousands of years. They have been preserved as an integral part of faith that we tend to skip over. Like just the fact that Ecclesiastes exists in the Bible flies in the face of shallow theology that says God's purpose for you is for you to be happy. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? I'm not suggesting that we just wholeheartedly dive in with Kohelet and live lives of utter despair. Okay, I'm not telling you go forth and be sad about everything until the end of time. But I am suggesting that maybe we focus and we pay attention to what the book is saying through Kohelet's despair, which is where the book ends. He has 12 chapters of unrelenting lament. There's no break. Even the parts where he's like, you might as well eat and drink and be merry, is not because he's like, eating and drinking and be merry is great. No, he's like, you might as well eat and drink and be merry because you're going to die soon. So you might as well get your party on because everything is meaningless, like chasing the wind. Just run around like a circle, chasing your tail. There's no point. So you might as well go find some endorphins while you're at it. Go get a hit of dopamine. And like 12 chapters, he lays out his complaints, no resolution. Just ends. The end. I hate everything. Good day. I said good day. And then he just rests his case, and the narrator's voice takes over. So the narrator has just a couple verses at the beginning and a couple verses at the end. And the narrator introduces him at the beginning. And actually, one of my favorite parts of the book is the narrator at the end doesn't reprimand Kohelet for his lack of faith. He doesn't come in and try to make it all fit together. He doesn't come in and say, let's theologize and get God off the hook for this accusation that it's God's fault that it's the world is this way. He just leaves it there. In fact, the narrator says, despite Kohelet's total Eeyore vibe, that he is wise and a teacher of knowledge. Chapter 12, verse 9 says, not only was the teacher wise, but he imparted knowledge to the people. He searched to find just the right words, and what he wrote was upright and true. His words are not brushed aside with a sigh of relief by the narrator. The narrator is saying these words are worth hearing, even though they are painful to hear. Of course the words hurt. Of course they hit us in a place where we're like, we don't want to think about that. We don't want to think about everything being meaningless, all the worries that I have, all the things that I stressed out about this week, this year, my whole life. Of course those words hurt. They're supposed to. But the narrator continues. He says, even though Kohelet's words are wise, we are not to live in that space perpetually, brooding about life and just rehashing all of its faults over and over and over and over. The narrator concludes by saying, of making books, there is no end. Much study wearies the body. Amen. Now all has been heard, and here is the conclusion. Fear God and keep God's commandments, for this is the whole duty of everyone. Now the narrator is not telling his audience to stop reading books. Okay. He means that obsessing about everything that is wrong in life and trying to work everything out and find meaning in every situation all the time will just emotionally and spiritually exhaust you. And so simply, stop it. That's essentially what the narrator says. Here's the case. He presented it. It's wise. It's true. Oftentimes true. Stop it. I feel like there was a TV commercial a while ago, maybe years ago, and it was a guy freaking out about something. Or maybe it was multiple people freaking out. And the counselor should not have been a counselor because his answer to everybody was just stop it. They'd be like, I have this problem and I'm getting divorced and I don't know, and my kids are crazy. And the guy would just be like, just stop it. And the next person would come and be like, my job is terrible and I don't know what I'm doing and I don't have enough money and everything's awful and just stop it. That's essentially what the narrator is saying. Stop it. No more words. Nothing more needs to be said. What remains is not actually a plunge off a cliff of despair, but the opposite. Fear God and keep God's commandments. And I don't mean fear as in be afraid of God. That's not what that word means here. It means revere, and respect. The book of Ecclesiastes does not mask reality, but, and this is important, neither does that reality have the final word. Keep being faithful anyway. Continue revering and respecting God anyway. Continue having faith anyway. Faith is the mark of a new humanity, the mark of redeemed people, the mark of people who are becoming whole. Nothing changes that. Even when we have moments where everything seems futile and senseless, even when life seems absurd and death waits for us at the end, keep living anyway. And I don't say that lightly. It's hard to keep trusting God when you see no reason to. But that is the profound paradox of faith in the book of Ecclesiastes. No matter how deep distrust and disillusionment may be, keep trusting God anyway. And when we reach the point where things make no sense, and when our thinking about God and life and the world, they no longer seem to line up in the perfectly crafted pieces that perhaps they did when we were kids, or perhaps they did when we had felt like we had solid answers to all of our theological questions, when we had clear lines about who was in and who was out, and what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable. When our sense of certainty is gone, when we can find no reason to trust God, but then we still do, that is what faith looks like. That's what trust looks like at its brightest, when everything else is dark. Jesus came to be the light of the world, and the light shines in the darkness. And you may notice, there's not a lot of light in here today. We didn't even do that on purpose. The universe was just like, hey, we're going to take the soundboard out today. Not the soundboard, the light board. We're going to take the light board out. Hope you can find some lamps. Which is a perfect thing for today because everything is meaningless. And who cares about light anyways? But we can notice when it's dark. When all the lights are on, it's easy to trust. When we can see everything, it's easy to trust. But when the lights are off, we have to trust anyway. When you can only see as far as your headlights, it can be difficult, but you can make the whole trip that way. We drive in the dark, and none of us are like, I don't think I'm going to get to my destination because I can only see for 40 feet. We may be able to only see as far as our headlights, but we can make the whole trip that way. The book of Ecclesiastes is not a drawn-out and sorry tale of weak faith and poor thinking that truly faithful people need to avoid. It's an honest reflection of what true people of true faith experience sometimes. But if we stay around for the end, we get to discover some of the most encouraging words to me in the entire Bible. Face it head on, with complete transparency and unflinching honesty, without making excuses for yourself or making excuses for God. Just face it. And then trust God anyway. And we're doing something really special today. We have a meditation, so the band can come on back up. The meditation is based on a video by the Liturgists, which they have a podcast, highly recommend. They have a meditation based on Ecclesiastes that is honest and raw and hopeful, and I have listened to it probably 6 times this week. Once every day and twice yesterday. We journey through the season of Lent, and we're so bent on getting to Easter. We're so bent on getting to the light at the end of the tunnel. But sometimes we skip over the process of actually experiencing what darkness is like. And we all know what darkness is like. So I just ask you to focus on this meditation. Gianna's going to read, and the band is going to play, and it's going to be, for me, it was cleansing. It's centering. Give yourself the space to just listen to the words and release that buildup of tension between your shoulders. Just put them down. Meditation is this space where we intentionally focus our mind outward toward the infinite. But in doing that, it enables us to ground ourselves and ground our souls in the infinite that's inside of us. And then after the meditation, there is a song called Vapor, because everything is a vapor. And I just am so excited about this. So I'm going to let Gianna take it away, and then I'll come back and give you a benediction.
Meaningless. Meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Most scientists estimate that the universe is 13.77 billion years old, and that the Earth is 4.54 billion years old. While human beings have only been on Earth for less than 200,000 years. To put those numbers in perspective, if you stretched out your arms, and your entire wingspan was representative of Earth's geological history, and then you took a nail file and took just a little bit off the edge of your fingernail, you would have just wiped out all of human history. There's this Carl Sagan quote about a photo of Earth taken from Voyager on its way out to deep space that echoes the sentiments of the Kohelet, the teacher, in the ancient wisdom book called Ecclesiastes. Here's the quote. Look at that dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you've ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering, thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines, every hunter, forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. So here we are on this pale blue dot. Tiny specks of dust coming into existence for a moment, hurling through space and time, only to flicker back out after a few moments. These moments, these are all we have in this life. We work, we laugh, we cry, we make love, we write books, we build empires, we wage wars. We often try to ignore the fact that these moments are temporary, that our empires and the gross natural product of our art, our literature, our $300 designer jeans, all of our knowledge and technology, creativity, and legacy is erased. It's all going to flicker out at some point with everything else. Vapor, Havel, meaningless. Everything and everyone is a vapor, here for a few moments and then gone. This sobering thought can be depressing or it can be absolutely freeing. We can either go the way of many around us and ignore this fact, medicating and numbing ourselves in avoidance of the truth of our humanity, or maybe there's another way. We can embrace it. We can recognize our humble place in this universe. We can recognize the silliness of human arrogance and empire, And perhaps, as a result, we can learn to appreciate and fully experience the moments that we have as the gifts that they are. Think about when you were young. Do you remember getting worried and stressed about things that seemed so important at the time? Now how do you feel about those things? The issues that felt like life and death, like how the kids didn't give you a fair turn on the playground that day? How do you feel about that now? Do you laugh about it? Does it seem silly? So what are you worried about today? Do you really think it is any less silly than what you were worried about as a child? Your job, vapor. Your apartment, vapor. Your school loans, vapor. Everything and everyone you love and worry about, it's all vapor. Are you worried about being unique or important? In our society, we worship our individuality. We love to talk about our fingerprints and snowflakes and how every individual is unique. But have you ever looked at a snowflake? I mean, they're all kind of the same. Back the camera up just a little bit, and you are nothing but a human being, a speck of dust in time and space, not all that distinguishable from the 7 billion other specks of dust swirling around you. How many of our moments on the pale blue dot do we waste worrying and stressing about the vapor? The Kohelet, the teacher in Ecclesiastes, shows us the vanity of human toil and worry. Another teacher came and taught about the vapor like this: "Come to me, all you who are weary, and I will give you rest. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So what are you so worried about? What causes you stress? Because it's going to the dirt like everything and everyone else. It is vapor, mist, smoke, havel. This doesn't have to be depressing. In fact, it might even be liberating. Finitude, after all, is actually what makes life sweet. Christmas time can be such a wonderful and magical time of year because it only happens once a year, not in spite of it. Parents treasure their moments with their young children at home precisely because they know those moments won't last forever, not in spite of that truth. So take a breath. Recognize your frailty. Recognize that the things that feel so weighty and worrisome in the back of your mind right now are nothing but vapor. Feel your breath. Recognize your lungs keep you alive without your ability to make them work or not. Your heart is beating. Your cells are working together to keep you alive, and it's all magical, mysterious, and beautiful. Life on planet Earth is a gift, and you only get it for as long as you get it, and then the match gets blown out. So set your hearts not on things of earth, not on the vapor, but let go. Fully open your heart to both the gift and the giver, the mystery, the beauty, that in which we live and move and have our being, that in which we call God, the oneness who holds the vapor together, who somehow brings meaning into the meaningless. Oh, the vapor of it all. It's a chasing in the wind, the powers of the earth, so pale and then we will set our hearts on you again. Heaven taunts the hearts of men. We can feel it from within, the beauty of it all, the mystery, the swelling of a voice, a rising sea. Holy, you, O God, are holy. Trees clap their hands for you, oceans they dance for you. You are holy. Oh, the mystery of it all. I could never peer within, never find the words or understand the fullness of a God become a man. Holy, you, oh God, are holy. Trees clap their hands for you, oceans they dance for you. You are holy, infinite and holy. A billion suns rise for you, clouds paint the skies for you, motion sent all for you, valleys bow down to you, everything rising to sing our songs to you. Oh, 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 holy, the impossible and holy. Kings become fools for you, kingdoms to ruins for you. Vapor finds ground in you, music finds sound in you. Everything rising, everything rising, everything rising. Oh, 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 come like dawn, like wind, like sunlight, bring this world to life. Come like rain, like springtime, bring this world to I actually really want to sing that chorus again. Holy, you, oh God, are holy. clap their hands for you. Oceans, they dance for you. You are holy. Sing that again. Holy. You, oh God, are holy. Trees clap their hands for you. Oceans, they dance for you. You are holy. One more time. Holy. You, oh God, are holy. Trees clap their hands for you. Oceans, they dance for you. You are holy.
That was beautiful. Just a couple of things. One is Easter, we will not be in this building because the floor is getting replaced. And some leaks are getting fixed, which is fabulous. But we are going to be in North Straub Park, which is downtown St. Pete. It's in between the pier and the Vinoy. We're going to have Easter there. I don't think it's just off Central. It's right next to the water. And we'll have, if you're on our email list, you should be on our email list. We will get you the exact address. It is a bring your own chair / blanket, unless you just love to sit on the grass. So, and then after that, we'll have a little Easter egg hunt for the kids, which is going to be exciting. And then maybe some brunch at the pier. On the Sunday after that, there will still be work being done in this building. So instead of church, we are going to the beach. We're not having church at the beach. We are just going to the beach to have fun and spend time together and be community and maybe take a Sunday off. Maybe you haven't had a day to just be in a while. The water might still be really cold, but some New Yorkers will be in the water. So step up, you pansies. I'm not getting in. It'll be at Treasure Island Beach, right next to the Belmar Hotel. There's public parking. We will get the exact address for you. Again, be on our email list. And are we doing brunch today? Brunch today. 3 daughters. I may be there, depending on my daughter, my one daughter, and how she is holding up. And I just want to say thank you for being here. Maybe this isn't your typical church service where everything is like so exciting. But I love taking space to just reflect and be. And I think I'm going to listen to the recording of that meditation and that song a bunch more this week. Let's pray. Merciful God, we are grateful for the ways you have been revealed to us through the love of community gathered here and beyond, through nature and the beauty every season brings. We bring our whole selves into your presence, our achievements and failures, our proud moments and our hidden shame, our undying dreams and our detached resolve. At this gracious table we meet you, broken and shared and made whole again. Go forth, loved ones, in the name of the Lord. Calm uneasy spirits. Become a non-anxious presence. Be transformed by love, and in so doing, transform others. For we are being redeemed, now and forevermore. No matter the situation, no matter the meaninglessness, no matter the vapor. Be anyway. Live anyway. Have faith anyway. And the Lord of all will welcome us home. Amen. Have a great Sunday.